Writer and educator Margaret Wheatley said, "There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." Let's begin with the fundamentals for creating a community of care. Lesson 1. Prioritize people first. There is an old saying that goes, "Nothing about us without us," meaning that no policy should be decided by any representative without the full participation of those affected by that policy. Over the next few minutes, I'll share what we've learned at Metis by doing just that, listening to our team. Prioritizing people first means recognizing that every individual circumstance is different, and that presents an excellent opportunity for continuous learning and improvement. It requires humility to acknowledge that your understanding will always be incomplete. That's why it's important to check in with individuals and teams before, during, and after employee leave. Collaborating with a qualified HR compliance specialist in your state and forming employee advisory committees are great ways to gather and address interests within the boundaries of the law. Sharing interests requires trust, and trust grows when people know what to expect and feel heard. Establishing simple protocols such as shared calendars and availability status are both low-impact ways to keep team members in the loop, while surveying employees anonymously and regularly provides an opportunity to gather candid feedback about what's working and what isn't. But no one individual or company can go it alone, and that's why it's important to advocate for systems change at a legislative level, in addition to supporting organizations that provide much-needed community supports to fill in the gaps. These can include nonprofits that offer respite care, sponsoring an employee assistance program, offering on-site child care or child and elder care subsidies as part of employee compensation packages, and providing structural supports for employee-initiated PTO sharing and meal trains for coworkers. Lesson 2. Communicate clearly and consistently. There are 3 main components to effective communication: asking, listening, and reflecting. Practicing these 3 steps ensures that interests can be identified, clarified, and acted upon with a clear understanding of the needs of all affected stakeholders. The pressures of work and home responsibilities can be overwhelming, and that can lead to poor outcomes when teams aren't sufficiently supported in their communications. Creating simple-to-use systems for gathering and prioritizing interests is essential. Begin by identifying affected stakeholders, which may include team members in other departments, HR managers, or clients. Then prioritize interests by asking for their top must-haves, should-haves, and nice-to-haves. Using established facilitation techniques provides structure to keep conversations open, focused, and equitable. It's important to recognize that these conversations can't be one and done. Following up with individuals and teams with tangible outcomes is critical. This may include establishing a timeline that outlines shifting roles, tasks, and milestones, as well as documenting and sharing resulting expectations and commitments. While policies reflect broad organizational requirements and legal mandates, the practices that follow are a bridge to the specific needs of individuals and teams and can be adapted within the boundaries of established policy. When in doubt, rely on the expertise of your internal HR department or an external compliance consultant to advise on the appropriate course of action, and train your teams accordingly, especially on matters of individual privacy. Lesson 3. Actions speak louder than words. Humans learn what it means to trust at a very young age. All the words in the world amount to very little if our actions don't support them, at great cost to individuals, our families, and to our businesses. In an increasingly remote workforce, forward-thinking businesses understand the need to compete on a global scale. That's why it's imperative to address our country's lagging paid family leave practices, both as businesses and as a society. Company culture may develop organically, but it's important to plant the seeds you want to grow. Developing shared language and systems set the stage for more effective collaboration. Cross-training team members to back each other up isn't just good for supporting caregivers, it's also good contingency planning. People feel more engaged in their work when they feel a sense of autonomy, mastery, and purpose, all key benefits of peer mentoring groups. Cross-training also supports job sharing, which can pave the way for non-traditional candidates who have valuable knowledge and experience to offer companies with hard-to-fill job openings. When employers both seek and offer feedback regularly, share key performance indicators, and provide clear and concise details about their policies and practices, including remedies to address grievances without fear of retribution, people are more likely to feel safe and engaged. Organizations can further demonstrate their commitment through third-party assessments and audits, such as those offered by B-Lab, for any business interested in continuous improvement and certification of their results. At Metis, the most popular perk is by far our flexible work arrangements, followed closely by our paid time off and family leave policies. We know this because we use the techniques we've just described to draw out interest and evolve our policies and practices over time. We don't just promise open-ended perks that leave clients and coworkers unsupported. We set minimum guarantees, leave room for employees to exercise their own discretion without having to divulge personal details, and design scalable systems to ensure that a wide range of interests are met. For more information on designing your own community of care or to watch this video again, I invite you to connect on LinkedIn.